Hi, and welcome back to Just Ask the Question. I'm your host, Brian Cameron. With me, it's an absolute joy, a good friend of ours, of mine, good friend of mine, and also a guy who's on the right side of a lot of issues. I welcome Joe Walsh. Joe, it's always good to see you, brother.
Brian, my friend, I mean this. There are so many, everybody and their mother's got a podcast. Everybody and their mother is on Substack. It's so good to be on yours because you and I are good friends. So good to be
Yeah,
with you.
it's good to be here. And one of the reason why I wanted you back to talk about was, you and I have talked offline about this, but a lot of people are poking at each other, a lot of arguments back and forth. And I ran into a guy who said, "Listen, you need to tell me, just go after Donald Trump." And I go, "Well, I have, but I also go after the Democrats. But how is a Democrat going to get a Republican to vote for him in 2026?" And they go, "Well, we have to tell him why Donald Trump is wrong." And I said, "I think you've got it wrong. I think you're chasing the wrong game. If you've decided that Donald Trump, I mean, I've talked to people who said, I don't want to vote for Donald Trump. I don't want to vote for MAGA. But the Democrats give me no reason to vote for them, and they're more afraid of the Democrats than they are a guy who is admittedly ripping the crap out of the Constitution and tearing it asunder." So, I mean, if you know that Donald Trump, you bought him, you liked him, and now you're not, you want to return him. What do you got for me? What do the Democrats need to do? And so that, I mean, you were a Republican, now you're a Democrat. I know you
Whew.
have feelings on this. So what do they got? What do the Democrats have to do?
Way to tee me up, Brian Karen. Way to tee me up.
I
Look,
give it a whirl.
you uh you and I are different in one big respect, our careers. You
Yeah.
are a straight down the road, tough, fair, objective journalist. I ain't never been. I am a political partisan, former Tea Party guy. 14 years later, I'm in the Democratic Party. Go, how the hell did that happen? But I'm partisan. Donald Trump, in my mind, is evil. He's everything our founding
Yes.
fathers feared. End of story. I do a lot of foreign media, and they ask me all the time, Joe, is fascism coming to America? I say it's here. It's in
It's
the White
here.
House now. But to your point, Brian, as someone who's only been a Democrat for 3 months, the days of my new party thinking that all they got to do to win is just say Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, those days are over. Those days are over. So you got to do both. You got to say Trump is bad and explain why he's bad. But you got to say, this is who I am. This is what the Democratic Party is. And this is what we're going to do. You got to do both. And they got to fight, Brian. They got to fight.
Yeah. Do you like what Gavin Newsom has done?
To a degree, that's his way of fighting. I wouldn't do that. I'm not as cute and clever, and I'm too old to troll and all that shit anymore. But that fits
Too old to
Newsom.
troll. We'll get that on a T-shirt.
Too old to
Too old to
troll.
troll.
But that's Newsom's style, and he's doing it well. And so Democratic voters have reacted to him because they've been craving somebody who's going to get in the freaking ring, meet this moment, and fight. And in a world, Bry, where my new party has people like Chuck Schumer, hello, even Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, I love her. She's 83. What's she still doing there? There's just, crying out for people to fight. Newsom's filled some of that.
Well, my question is, how do you? I don't think you convince people to vote for you if you're a Democrat if you just tell them, like you said, Trump is bad. What is it that you bring that's different? Why should I vote for you? What are you going to do for me? Why?
Yeah.
Like I talked, I wrote a column recently, and I was talking to Republicans in Texas, and they said, look, just because they gerrymandered these districts doesn't mean that they're going to
Yeah.
go full Republican. If there was a conservative Democrat who would speak to us, we'd listen to him. But the Democrats, it seems to me, don't really want to embrace any of
Bingo.
it. Yeah.
Bingo, Bry. That's such a great point. Look, so I became a Democrat 3 months ago, and everybody asked me, oh, you're going to run for office, Joe. What are you running for? Just assuming that I'm going to run for something. And I'll tell you right now, Bry, like I'm a conservative Democrat, period.
Right.
I probably couldn't win a Democratic primary anywhere. Democrats have got to learn that this is a big freaking country. Zoran Mamdani's the nominee in New York City. I couldn't win a Democratic primary in New York City. But if I moved to South Carolina and ran against Lindsey Graham, you remember, Brian, you and I are old enough. We remember that thing called the Southern Democrat,
Yes, yellow dog
right?
Democrats in
Thank
Texas.
you. Get
Yeah,
those back. We need those and Mamdani and everybody in between. Democrats need to learn again
the
that
Big
every
Ten.
state and district is different.
Yeah, I go back to Tip O'Neill, and I remember reading his book. And Tip, they put him out. Man of the House is his
Mm-hmm.
autobiography, and he was talking about when he was a young congressman. They sent him out to drum up support for Democrats, and he said, "I didn't give a shit who if they believed 100% with the Democrats." He said, "I would go out and find the most popular person in the district, whether it's a car salesman or an insurance salesman or a high school football coach, and say, listen, if you run, we'll back you. These are the core things we want you to support, and then you've got your own, go for it." So that, and he was very successful doing it. But today it seems like if you don't toe the, and the wokeism is, I don't understand that at all. I don't understand how you're going to accept anybody in the Democratic Party. I mean, look, if I'll give the Republican Party will kill you. They will threaten to kill you. The Democrats will just cancel you. So, but it's still the same. You don't accept a change. You don't accept any variation from the theme that you're trying to put
And
out.
Bry, I'm sure you get grief from people on the left like I do, because we spend a lot of our time criticizing constructively Democrats. Why would you and I criticize MAGA? We know what MAGA is. We all know the threat they are. We criticize and try to shake up Democrats because we want Democrats to defeat MAGA. That's why I spend my time criticizing and trying to help Democrats get better. Um, I think the party's got to be a big tent. I think it's got to be big enough for a Mamdani and a Joe Walsh. And Democrats need to learn that. And Brian, I think, and I say this to Democrats, again, knowing that MAGA is an existential threat to our democracy, every 2 years, the left votes for the left, the right votes for the right, and everybody else in the middle votes for the side they hate least.
Yeah.
And we go through this every 2 years. So the left and Democrats got to get their act together.
So give me a 3-step process. I mean, or maybe it's like a 12-step program. But what would
I
you recommend?
think, well, and Brian, you and I talked about this because I was out on the campaign trail for Kamala Harris every day in a
Yeah.
battleground state. And what I heard every day was this from those people in the middle. They would tell me, Joe, I know Trump's an asshole. I know he's an asshole, but there was always a but. And they generally said, but the Democrats, Joe, they're these elites and they look down on me. They don't understand me. So a lot of these people pick the asshole over the party they thought looked down on them. So Democrats, Bry, got a real problem. They don't relate to working class regular folk anymore, white, black, and brown. Trump did well with them. I mean, my God, when I got elected to Congress 13, 14 years ago, I won college educated suburban people. That was the Republican Party's base. It's completely flipped now. Those
Yeah.
are all Democrats, and those people without a college degree are voting Republican because I think the Democratic Party has gotten too elitist and too woke. So, what do they need to do? They need to get into damn bars and taverns in small towns throughout this country and listen to regular folk again.
Yeah. See, that's what I said. Donald, look, you've got to listen to people. This is what I want. This is what I need. And you have to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump listened and told them what they wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
He had no intention of ever fulfilling it, but they at least felt like they were heard.
Yeah.
The Democrats will do what's necessary to help, but they're not going to listen to you. And so people think they're going to screw them. It's completely flipped.
You're spot on, man. Look at the issue of immigration. Trump demagogued the issue and lied about it. They're eating cats and dogs, all that shit.
Yes,
And,
they're
and
eating
these,
the cats. They're
yeah,
eating the dogs.
these migrants are everywhere and they're committing crimes everywhere. That's the shit Trump did. All lies, all fear mongering. But Democrats completely ignored the issue of immigration. And average regular people care about that issue. That was one issue where, again, the Democrats were driven by their MSNBC listening, white, wealthy, liberal base. They got to get over that. Yeah. And so Democrats have gotten lucky, Brian, in that Trump, as always, has taken the issue of immigration to an ugly, extreme, dark place where he's got masked agents not going after violent criminals who are here
No.
illegally, but 80-year-old Latino women who've been here 30 years. He's
Yeah.
disappearing people off of our streets. So there's a huge opening here for Democrats to say, this is not who we are. We're better than this. This is not what we should do when it comes to immigration.
Yeah, what do you think of what the meme he put out on social media about Chicago, the Chipocalypse, and
I,
you're about to find out what the War Department is.
I'm so tired, Brian. And again, you're in the trenches every day of
Yeah.
normalizing this guy's shit. This is ugly, scary, authoritarian shit. And people just laugh. I was just on with somebody. That's why I'm in a bad mood 20 minutes ago. And he just said, oh, that meme was just Trump. That's just Trump. Bullshit. Any other president does that. And it's a national story. We've normalized, Brian, how bad he is.
What frustrates me, Joe, is that, yeah, I get tired of it too. The normalization of it is nerve wracking. And yet, everywhere you go, it's everybody preaching about how bad it is, but nobody presenting a legitimate way back from the abyss. It's like we're hitting, I think we've gone over. Personally, I think the constitutional crisis is in our rearview mirror. We are a fascist nation. We don't care about people unless we're, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Some of the posters even look like something from Germany.
Yeah.
Folks, it's not, but maybe that's just me. I mean,
no, I'm with you, big boy.
Oh, good. That makes two of us.
But see that, Brian, that's the problem. That's like the Trump trap. So he's so bad that literally fascism is here.
Yeah.
Literally, our country's house is burning down. So if you're a Democrat, you can't ignore that. So you fall into the trap where you got to go after him all the time. And that's generally where I am. I think if you're a Democratic politician and you can't make the case to the average voter that Donald Trump is a lawless, corrupt, anti-democratic, un-American, pathological, lying thug, if you can't make that case and say that that's more important than the price of eggs, that having a president who's above the law is a bigger threat to you than expensive milk, I'm sorry. If you can't make that case, then go home.
Well, I always think of the show 9 to 5, sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot. And I end up making jokes half the time because I got to tell you, if you laugh or cry, we'll be here all week. Try the veal.
Yes.
The problem is if you do, if you do normalize it, and that's very tough to walk that fine line because there's nothing normal about this. Absolutely nothing normal.
Brian, your profession of the media, not you, but your profession, has done a lousy job with this guy. Like,
Joe, they won't even let me in there.
Oh, yeah. Because you know why? Because you'd call him out on his lies. He lies every time he opens his mouth. So now, Brian, it's not news when he tells a lie. And the media just ignores now his lies because he lies so much. And then, then the media's completely normalized his lying. They wouldn't do that for any other politician.
No, and the thing is, he's got him bending the knee because he's been able to leverage his power, and the media is afraid of it. Mm-hmm. Those 6 media companies that own or operate 95% of what you see here at a national level have bowed the knee. And then you have 45% of the counties in this country, and this isn't me making this up. This is an honest to God quote from a study done at the University of Chicago. 45% of the counties in this country do not have any local media. And so there's your problem. They get no news. And in those counties, 91% of those counties went Trump in the last election.
Because they're watching Fox.
Yeah, that's it. What do you think about 2026? Do you think he's going to be able to rig the election? Are you afraid of it?
I think, Brian, and you and I've said this before, the greatest failure of these Trump years is the failure of imagination. If you and I were together 30 years ago and one of us said, there's going to be an American election in the future and the losing candidate will not accept the results and will commit crimes trying to overthrow an American election, you'd have hit me upside the head and said I was drinking too much. That happened.
Or you
And
would
we
take a
didn't
nice
imagine.
big round of LSD, but that's it.
And so January 6th happened because we couldn't imagine that Trump would go that bad. We've never imagined that, how low and how bad Trump will get. I don't believe that. I think Donald Trump will do everything he can to fuck with the 2026 midterms. Brian, I think that's a big part of why he's putting the military on the streets. I think
Yeah,
he wants to normalize that image because come midterms, he wants military men and women in certain precincts to intimidate certain voters from voting.
you mean like black and brown and
Thank
women?
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes,
Well,
exactly.
yeah. Did you ever see a Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase?
Yeah, great movie.
There's that one. Yeah. Cheap, lying, no good, rotten, floor flushing, low life, snake licking, dirt eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood sucking, dog kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat ass, bug eyed, stiff legged, spotty lip, worm headed sack of monkey shit. That's, that's to me,
Perfect.
that's Donald Trump. That's
Perfect.
yeah. But
So it's tough, right? Like again, I know I'm a new Democrat, so I criticize my Democratic brothers and sisters only because I want to help us defeat the threat. But man, we're not meeting the moment. There aren't enough Democrats meeting this moment, the seriousness of this moment.
so who? All right. Well, I have always said that I thought that the Democrats were very poor about um, developing their bench strength. And Obama's from then on, no bench strength. The Clintons did a little, but they just assume that you're going to vote because obviously we're the best choice. And I ran into that in the Biden White House. Why is Donald Trump getting all of this ink? We did the we did the $1 trillion infrastructure bill, and I said, yeah, you mentioned it once, and they go,
Yeah,
well, yeah, but what do we need? I go, whatever oxygen you don't take, Donald Trump will. So you
yeah,
should take up as much. You're asking for advice. You should be. I mean, that was the last time that infrastructure bill was the last time, and also the first time in many years in which it was bipartisan,
yeah,
showing you what could be done in this country if both sides work together. I would be preaching that to this day, going, here's an example of what happens when we work together. And it's the reason why we didn't go into a recession after COVID. And it's why there's still hope for the United States, because when we work together, anything is possible. Instead, I get slogans about America and trucks and tattoos and American flags, and I just go, I don't even know where you're. I can't even talk to that.
that's why it's such a shame, Brian. Biden really fucked things up.
Yeah,
Um, him sticking around so long and then trying to run again really, really played into Trump's hands and helped all these voters in the middle who told me both sides suck because they saw what the Democrats did with Biden. It's a shame because Biden had, up until then, a very successful first term.
yes, I thought he did fairly well. I could, you could, everybody. George Clooney has been on record as going. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks, because he's the one who came out and dumped Biden and did it in the New York Times, saying he was a friend.
Yeah.
Hey, my friends, I tell them in private. I don't put it in the New York Times. So maybe there's something to be said about George Clooney keeping his mouth shut since he's not a politician. But to that point, I think if Biden had come out in, and I've said this often, if he had just come out in that briefing room once every 6 weeks,
Yes.
done a tight 10 minutes, and said, "Hey guys, I'm old. I got to go take a nap. I'll see you." When what happened, and I blame his staff for also over preparing him for that debate, and stuffing his head full of shit. So he ended up like a computer, that's been hacked and stuck that you can't refresh. And if he had bombed, because if you look at what Trump said in that first debate, he was worse. But he looked better. So it was appearance versus reality. If he had just done that, he could have had a bad uh, showing at the first debate, and people said, "Well, I've seen him every 6 weeks. He's fine. He's not, he's not nuts. He's not lost it." But instead, we didn't, and people thought he'd lost it, and they dumped him. And then we had Harris, and she said, and I mean, I still run into Harris supporters today. Said, "We don't understand. She ran a perfect campaign," and I go, "How the hell could it be a perfect campaign? She lost. If it's a perfect campaign, by the very definition, you win." But you
I
can
she
run.
did she did not run a perfect campaign. I don't blame her for the loss, but she did not run a perfect
Yeah,
campaign. Brian, look, we've been living in a populist anti-establishment period for a while. Trump recognized it. He's tapped into it. He's demagogued it. The Democratic Party has not recognized this moment. People are pissed off and angry, and they're pissed off at our political system, which is broken. Both parties kind of suck. My new party too. And the Democratic Party. Look, I don't agree with Mamdani on a lot of stuff, but he's tapped into like this populist fervor from the
yeah.
pro- progressive left. But Democrats need more of that. Need more of that. No more establishment Democratic candidates. I generally do believe. I mean, Bernie's been doing his thing for a long, long time, and Bernie's still spouting the same ideas that haven't been enacted. I generally believe, you and I know, most Americans are center right, center left. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. And Trump is an anomaly in that he's a cult figure, and MAGA has overtaken the Republican Party, and Trump is not perceived as an establishment politician. The Democrats need to nominate a fighter. Now, I think a fighter coming a bit more from the middle would be better.
Like
But
who?
if it's a fighter like AOC from the left, I mean, I'm on board. But either way, it's got to be a fighter.
Well, yeah, we'd all be on board, but who wins? Who would you recommend at this point? Is there anyone that you see out there that might run that you would go, "Hey, this guy or this woman has it"?
Here's a funny thing, Brian. I'll give you an honest answer. I don't see that person yet. Do you?
I see the potential for that person, but I don't
Hmm.
see. But I don't see that person yet either. The closest I would, Chris Murphy might be, um, but and then for my home state of Kentucky, Bashir uh, could be. He's a guy who's a Democrat who wins in a red state all the time. Somebody like that, but to have the demonstrative ability, the personality, the cult following, no, I haven't
No,
seen
and look, Bashir is a straight white moderate Democrat.
that. Yep.
Man, he's a man. And a lot of people think that's what the party needs. I would just say I want more of a charismatic, fighting kind of a dude or a gal.
It's got to be somebody who's charismatic, who can fight, and someone who will. It's got to boil down to somebody talking to people and
Yeah.
going, "What is it? Do you need?" And like you said, going into the bars and the PTA meetings and the city council meetings, go, "Look, I want to run for president. What do you want?" And go and being able to go to Republicans and say, "What does it take for me to get your vote?"
This is what I believe about crime, immigration, whatever. If it pisses you off or offends you, I'm sorry, but you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you what I believe. Man, I want to hear that kind of talk.
So ideally
Hmm.
the year is 20 it's the summer of 2029.
Ooh.
The new president's been on deck for what, 100 days. You and I are sitting down grabbing a dinner at Hershey's, and we're going to watch the band play. What would be the best case scenario politically to you at that point for you?
Well, I would hope we have a Democratic president. I would hope that the Democrats took the House back in 2026. And I would hope that the nation is beginning to heal a little bit. And I would hope that the MAGA fever is beginning to break a little bit. Bry, I'm an old guy. I don't think the Republican Party will change in my lifetime. I think it'll be principally MAGA for my lifetime. But I think that it can begin to ease a bit. The fever can break. And so, in a weird way, Brian, I'm hoping we have a Democratic president who's kind of like Abraham Lincoln, who will lead the charge to defeat this fascist threat and then begin to bring the country together. That may be way too fucking optimistic.
That's your best case scenario.
Best case, and that's highly doubtful.
Worst case.
Worst case is the Democrats don't take back the House in 26. There is a presidential election in 28, and Donald Trump physically doesn't leave the White House. And
you're not the first person to say that they think that
just
Trump
physically he doesn't leave, and then all hell breaks loose.
I think you're not going to get him out of that White House until he can lay in state in that new ballroom he wants to build. And he'll charge $50 a whack. His family will, just to see him.
God. He had some party the other night, Brian, on the new Rose Garden, and there were hardly any people there on that piece of cement.
Yeah.
It just looked like shit.
Well, the whole thing looked like shit. And he's turned it, the gilded lily in the oval looks like something out of a cheap whorehouse in New Orleans. It's just horrible. But I mean, my greatest fear is he won't leave.
Yeah.
My greatest fear is that the 2020, I believe we will, and we can talk about that. I believe we will have a 2026 election, but I think just for show, he would love to, the Russian comic who says, we do elections a lot better in Russia. We already know who the winner is when we walk in. And that's the fear here. And I think he'll try and intimidate in 2026 to make sure that they don't lose. And I think the Republicans have sold their soul to this guy. Any Republican worth his salt has left.
Brian. Yeah. Either they become a Democrat, or they're an independent, or they just left the party and they're done with politics altogether.
Yeah.
And that's really amazing, right? How quickly what's happened. Trump was right from the beginning when he said how weak the Republican Party was, because he took it over in like a nanosecond.
Yeah, that's frightening to me too. I don't believe when he says, Donald Trump is right about everything. I can't buy that one because I've had to fight that fucker. But that's all right. So that aside, I have a lot of people ask, and so I'll ask you: what do you do to get away from this? How do you keep your sanity? What are you doing to laugh and enjoy yourself? And I know your wife is good. Here you are. So what do you do?
My dogs, tequila, golf, my guns, and old Hollywood movies.
Oh, tell me your favorite. What have you watched recently? What do you like?
I saw one of my favorite, Bri, the old Jimmy Stewart, John Wayne Western, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Oh, that's a great one. You didn't shoot Liberty Valance. I did.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie. I mean, yeah. I love old Hollywood movies. It makes me escape. John Wayne would not have survived cancel culture. Not at all. Brian, I think about like comedians like George Carlin. Some of these comedians couldn't exist today.
Hey, you couldn't run Blazing Saddles today.
Oh my God, no.
You couldn't. By the way, Dick Gregory, the title of his autobiography, you can't even say the word today. And he said, if you say it from now on, you're just advertising my book. He had a sense of humor about it. Richard Pryor wouldn't be able to exist today.
Yeah, it's too bad, Brian, because even when you go back and watch old episodes of All in the Family, I mean, right, just unbelievably politically incorrect stuff that Archie said. But it's so important. That was part of our history. And Archie Bunker politically was a proud progressive, and he wanted to show, right, the bad parts of his character, and some of the sympathy, and why he thought the way he did. But yet you couldn't have a character
Carol
like that.
O'Connor was a progressive.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Brian, edit
Yeah.
that, edit that.
Yes.
Carol O'Connor was a progressive.
Archie Bunker wasn't, but
Thank you.
You're right, Carol. I figured out where you were going after you said it.
You let me hang myself, and then you say,
Well, I was trying to follow along. I'm going, wait a minute, what? I need. Well,
But-
the one that I still love was when Sammy Davis came up and gave him a kiss.
you couldn't. The way that the Rat Pack treated Sammy Davis, the shit they gave
Yeah.
each other. It's, and by the way, this is part of the whole woke stuff that Republicans just demagogued and won on, and Democrats kind of, were just standing there with their hands up their backsides. It's a shame.
Yeah. Well, I still like to laugh. I still like rock and roll music. I still try to have a good time. And if
Are you playing anywhere?
yeah, when I can,
Good.
I definitely I got to sing Roadhouse Blues at Whiskey. So I was,
Good.
that's where he sang it. So
Yeah.
I was like, man, all right.
That's
But
cool.
the band, we don't get together as much
Yeah.
anymore. But I need to get back doing that just to keeps me sane. Just
Yeah.
playing music and comedy and music, and then the dogs, like you said, and then sometimes I just have to unplug. There are days.
Good.
I mean, the Substack stuff, like you said, is kind of toxic. It can be toxic.
Social media and Substack, too much of it. And if you don't get away from it a little bit every day, Brian, life is short, right?
Yeah.
You're going to kill each other. We're going to kill ourselves.
And I think Donald Trump would be happy with that. He would burn it all down to rule over the ashes.
No, hey, again, the one constant about Trump, Brian, all he cares about is himself.
Yes.
Period. So he doesn't give a damn about what happens to the country. He doesn't give a damn about a lot of things. And he would burn this thing down if he'd step over his mother if he could make a buck. I mean, that's who he is.
In the end, when this is all over, I've said 10 years from now, when this is all over, people look back, deny Donald Trump, deny they were ever following him, say that they were secretly trying to bring him down the entire time, blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump will never spend a day in prison. He'll probably die in office and stay there until he does. But I wonder if there will be people that worked for him that will, particularly Stephen Miller, who I find holding Donald's leash, leading this immigration hate. And one of the people, him and Susan Wiles, I think are just lead. I think Donald, if you want to say that Biden slipped into senility, I think
Yes.
I think Trump took the ice water challenge and dove right in.
Yes. If I were a Democrat running for office this cycle, or I were a Democrat running for president in 28, a big part of my platform would be holding every one of these people accountable for the damage they've done. Period.
Ooh, that sounds like a campaign slogan.
Right?
So, are you going to run? Do you think you will run for something again?
You and I are good enough friends that I'd never bullshit you. I'd love to run again. I'd love to run now. I'd love to run for president. I'd love to run. I didn't become a Democrat to run. If it's in the cards, it'll be in the cards. We'll see.
Well, from one friend to another, I'd love to see you in office. You got the right attitude.
But Bri, if I were elected to something, you'd still have to make an appointment to come see me. Let's just make that clear.
You'd still get an invite to the band.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. You'd play at a lot of my fundraisers. Buddy.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah.
So, anyway, as we end, anything you want to plug?
No, just my Substack, A Social Contract with Joe Walsh, and everybody listening who subscribes to me, make sure you subscribe to Brian Karam as well.
Well, thank you so much. There you go. And the name of this show is called Just Ask the Question. I'm your host, Brian Karam. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.